Hello, SpongicX here with another anime review. Previously, I reviewed Makoto Shinkai's masterpieces, Your Name and Weathering with You, so now would be a good time to talk about his latest film from 2022, Suzume. Now I'll try to keep this review a little shorter because, to be honest, while I really like this movie, the plot of this one is a bit too bloated and confusing. I feel like I would really botch it up if I tried doing a full breakdown of this entire film. So despite not being the easiest film to follow, it's still got a lot of memorable moments that prevent me from considering it a bad movie. Now, compared to Shinkai's other movies, this one is packed with a lot more action. It arguably has the best action scenes out of all the movies he's made. I mean, the action scenes during this film are breathtaking, with its brilliant mixture of hand-drawn and CG animation, along with the epic soundtrack. This is the third movie in a row where Shinkai got Radwimps to do the music for the film. Once again, I can't play any music samples for you due to dang copyright, but people who've seen this movie, they know how great the music is, especially the main theme, the one that plays briefly at the beginning and then fully during the credits. So the story of this film is about a girl named Suzume. The film opens up where she has a dream about a childhood tragedy where she lost her mom and a woman approaches her. So Suzume wakes up and she heads for school. She comes across a mysterious boy named Sota. Sota asks Suzume if she knows where to find ruins that contain a certain door he's looking for. Suzume points him towards an abandoned town. Suzume gets curious and decides to try following the stranger to the ruins. She doesn't end up finding him, but she stumbles upon the door he was after. She opens it and is surprised to see the land from her childhood dream. She tries stepping into it, but she just phases through it, back through an empty door. So she stumbles upon a strange cat-shaped rock, and she pulls it out of the ground. The rock turns into a cat as it leaps out of her hands and runs away. Suzume ends up heading back to school, but earthquake sirens go off. Suzume looks outside of the window and sees burning red smoke rising from the ruins she just came from. She points it out to her friends, but for some reason, only Suzume can see it. She worries that Sota could be there and he could be in trouble, so she heads right back over to assist him. The closer she gets to the ruins, the red smoke starts growing larger, forming into the shape of a towering worm-like creature that's about to slam into the city and cause more massive earthquakes. So Suzume arrives and finds Sota trying to close the door from earlier, as the massive worm came from that door and he's trying to seal it. He tells Suzume to get out of here and save herself, but Suzume risks her life to assist him in sealing the door shut. Sota and Suzume manage to close the door as Sota begins performing an incantation. Voices of the fallen begin echoing. Sota pulls out a magical key and locks the door, causing the worm to disappear back into the door. Suzume takes Sota back to her place so she can nurse his injured arm. She has Sota take a seat on a chair that her mom made for her during her childhood. Sota turns out to be something called a closer. For many generations, these dark worms were breaking out of these special doors and created massive earthquakes. People cannot see these worms, so it's a closer's job to make sure that these doors stay shut. Suddenly, the cat from earlier appears. Suzume finds the cat adorable and brings him some nourishment. Suddenly, the cat starts talking.
Suzume, I like you. Lots. You're in the way. Goodbye.
Out of nowhere, the cat traps Sota inside of Suzume's chair, as Sota comically chases after the cat, demanding to be changed back, as Suzume follows. After a comical chase scene, the cat boards onto a ship. As Sota and Suzume get on, the cat leaps far onto another ship and gets away, as Sota and Suzume are stuck sailing off away from the cat. Sota says that he needs to get back into his own body so he can prevent those worms from getting out. He mentions how the doors need 2 keystones to keep the door shut, otherwise the worm will just keep waking up and cause more global destruction. Sota mentions how his key isn't enough to keep the doors locked. There are 2 keystones that are needed to keep the door sealed. While visiting the ruins, he noticed that both of the keystones were missing. Suzume begins realizing that the cat-shaped rock she pulled out was in fact one of the keystones. What confuses her is that she only pulled out 1 keystone, so she has no idea how the second one could have gotten out. So since Sota can't do a lot in his chair form, he has to rely on Suzume with assisting him in tracking down these worms and sealing the doors for him, while also trying to capture the 2 keystones. So the first keystone that Suzume unleashed is referred to as Daiji. Throughout the movie, he comes across as a villain, especially after what he does to Sota, They make it look like he's responsible for unleashing the worms, but, spoiler alert, he was actually guiding Suzume towards them the whole time, so she could seal them back. He just wanted to be Suzume's cat so she could love him, but he went about it the wrong way. I mean, yeah, trying to get rid of her friend probably isn't the best way of trying to get her on your side. To make matters worse, not only did he turn Sota into a chair, he tried turning him into a new keystone so he could take his place. So yeah, Daijin is a very conflicting character. I still loved him overall. He has such a cute voice, such a cute design. But yeah, later in the movie, he learns the hard way that what he did to Sota was not the right thing to do if he wanted Suzume's love.
Bring him back!
I mean it. You're hurting me, Suzume.
I don't care!
You shouldn't say that to somebody you love.
Hey!
What really confuses me about Daijin is how his name gets brought up to begin with. I mean, Suzume and Sota refer to him as Daijin because he was going viral with sightings of him online. People were spotting this strange cat across strange locations in Japan, and they were basically just taking pictures of him, and everyone just agreed that, oh, he looks like a Daijin. Now, I was very confused, and I had to look up what Daijin means. And I really got no good answers. I saw something about how Daijin can mean a minister, and I'm just sitting there thinking, really? People came across a strange cat, and the first thing they think of is, oh yeah, this is a minister. Let's call him minister. I really feel like the introduction of Daijin's name was not well thought out, to be honest. I feel like there's a better way they could have introduced this character's name by, you know, actually having the character refer to himself as Daijin. Or, I don't know. I just feel like this part got really lost in translation. I did love the Whisper of the Heart reference, though. There's a part where someone took a picture of him on a bus, and they said, oh, it's like I'm in Whisper of the Heart. I thought that was really good. So, despite how the movie is built up to have a lot of intense action scenes, with Suzume and Sota trying to seal up these doors before these worms break loose and cause massive city-destroying earthquakes, the film contains very slow, episodic moments, where Suzume keeps coming across a stranger, she decides to do favors for them, like helping a mother look after her kids, or work at a bar for a while. Meanwhile, Suzume's aunt is looking for Suzume, and there comes to a point where Sota becomes a keystone and he gets separated from Suzume. By this point, the movie really slows down, and it becomes a long road trip as Suzume's aunt finally finds Suzume, and she just goes along with her to try journeying to rescue Sota and save the world, and a huge chunk of the second half is just Suzume riding along in the backseat of a car during a long road trip, and I'm not gonna lie, these scenes really bored me. I really felt like this movie had some pacing issues. When the movie is about Suzume and her friend being stuck as a chair while they adventure around, fighting off worms and trying to chase a devious cat, the movie is a lot of fun, but when it wastes so much time on Suzume doing favors for strangers that add nothing to the story, or she falls asleep in the back of a car, the movie isn't as fun anymore. It doesn't take away from the overall movie, but it does leave me wishing that there were more entertaining scenes spread throughout the movie. Because when the action happens, it's really good, but the slower scenes in between just take up way too much of the movie and amount to nothing. I don't feel like any of the new characters that Suzume met along the way add to the story. It's not like the slower scenes in Spirited Away, which help progress the story and show the growth of our main character. So once Suzume finally reunites with Sota, the movie is able to finish strongly, luckily. We get an epic finale, a sad sacrifice, and a very emotional ending that brought tears to my eyes, and it brings the movie full circle. So, just like Shinkai's other movies, this one is also a young romance movie, but there's shockingly an age gap. So, Suzume turns out to be 17, where Sota, I don't think they really confirmed his age, but they did confirm that he's old enough to be a college student, and he's studying to become a teacher, and he's getting close to it too. Over the course of the film, Suzume does fall in love with Sota, despite being stuck in a chair throughout. But luckily, the movie does finish the movie off in a way that doesn't make their age difference feel too taboo. The movie ends with Sota returning to his own body as he heads off to finish his studies and become a teacher, while also continuing his duties as a closer. He says goodbye to Suzume and promises that he'll come back someday. So we're never revealed how much time has passed, but it's safe to assume that it's been over a year, so, Suzume is legally 18 now. Yeah, I do feel like that was a clever way to end the movie. So, the movie ends with Sota finally coming back to Suzume's town, and he comes to see her again. So this leaves it to the audience's imagination on what happens next, whether Suzume is at least 18 or older now, and if she can have a relationship with him without it being too taboo. So while it would have been easier to just say that Sota was roughly her same age to begin with, I at least appreciate how the film ended showing that, yeah, Suzume did have to wait a bit to finally get back together with him. So, admittedly, I do find this to be more overbloated and confusing than Your Name and Weathering With You. It's not as consistent as those movies, but it's still very good and enjoyable. I at least like this a lot more than some of his earlier movies. I mean, I've seen, he has like 4 earlier movies. I haven't seen them all. I saw 2 of them, though. I saw The Place Promised in Our Early Days, which was his first film, and I saw his third film, Children Who Chase Lost Voices, and I honestly did not like these movies at all. I do not plan on reviewing them because I really don't have much to say about them. They were just too confusing for me. They weren't very entertaining or emotionally investing for me. And that's why I was surprised that his last 3 movies were huge improvements. Now, just because I didn't like Suzume as much as Your Name or Weathering With You, that doesn't mean that it's a bad movie. It's overall a decent movie, but it does have a lot of shortcomings and scenes that just don't really add to the final product. While there's nothing too memorable about the main characters, they were at least enjoyable and fun to watch. They don't have any standout traits, but they weren't annoying, they had decent designs, and they got along pretty well. It's not like a couple who was constantly bickering throughout the movie, so yeah, they were enjoyable and tolerable characters to deal with. I cared enough about these characters to where, yeah, I did want to see them get a happy ending. But overall, I give Suzume an 8 out of 10. For those in North America, this movie is still available on Netflix as of the time I'm uploading this video. That's all I have to show for now. Thank you for watching, see you next time, and have a great day.